A little bit, yeah.
Hold on one second, okay? Paula, Paula, we gotta lower it down just a little, okay?
All right, what's up?
Hello.
So yeah, today I want to talk about the one drop rule and the outdated one drop rule. I know socially there's a lot of people who still try to enforce it and push it, but it has no legal standing since 1967. And this is something that we, you, me, and others have to continuously stress people and push and let's say, look, the one drop rule is outdated. There's no more legal standing. The fact that you are sticking to that rule, okay, that's a you problem, but I'm not going to participate and go along with that because I know it does not benefit me. I wanted you to continue on with what you said, how a lot of people who are mainly our detractors, they try to say, well, the one drop rule unifies us. And us meaning they're saying like the African American group or the black group in America. They're trying to say that the one drop rule unifies a group of people when it really does not. Can you please expand on that?
Yes, I will. And first off, thank you for having me back. It is a pleasure to be here. Hello to all of our listeners out there. My name is Philip Timothy Arnell. Now, let's get started. The one drop rule. A few years ago, I was on a train and I was in a conversation with a young lady. We were just talking about different things in life. And we got on the subject of mixed people. Now, I'm a mixed race man. She was an African American cultured woman. She was also mixed, but she did not identify as such. That's her own decision. She was saying that the one drop rule is something that she supports. And so I say, why do you support that? And so she says, because it makes us all unified. So I said, why does it make us all unified? Because no matter what, we are all black. And so I said, you know what? There are different types of people in this world, and people should be recognized by the truth of who they are, not just by culture, also by genetics, also by ethnicity, also by nationality. I'm a Caribbean American. She's okay, my family's from the South. And so I said, okay, you were there when she was around my age, or maybe a little bit older. So she was probably born just as it was ending. So, or maybe just a couple of years before it. I said to her, the one drop rule. You're going to tell me that you have people who have, say, one black grandparent or one second great grandparent who is black, and you're going to tell me that they're totally African? How does that line up with science? It just does in this country. It says, really, in this country. Yes, the United States has the influence of the entire world, but there are other places in the world that we are influenced by. That particular period of time was just like any other Jim Crow slash slavery period. There's nothing unified about it. If you had one drop of black blood in you, so they say one drop, that then prevented you from having the basic things in life that anybody who was quote unquote white would have: acquiring land, acquiring different things in life, marrying who you want, having children with who you want, whether you're going to be married to them or not, whether you have children, you would get into trouble. You could be jailed for it. You could be fined for it. That takes away from anybody's basic human right. Now, you say that this unifies people. You are celebrating those things that dead racists put into play. Now, those people, their offsprings, they're the ones who had to suffer because whatever generational wealth that they might have acquired from whatever side of them, they could not take advantage of simply because they were of a mixed race and they were viewed as only black. And so she said, you don't understand. So I said, no, I fully understand. I was not getting confrontational with her, but I could see that she was having a certain built up because this is evidently how she was raised. And so I said, let me ask you a question. If someone told you that you could not have whatever simply because of one part of genealogy that you may or may not have. How would you feel? I wouldn't like that. So the only unification that you would have is if you got with a bunch of people who that happened to as well, who were like you, a mixed person, not segregating against white people or segregating against black people. You as a mixed person. I'm not mixed. Both my parents are black. I said, you know what? Perhaps culturally and ethnically, but take a good look at yourself. Look at your features. All these things. That doesn't mean anything. There are people in Africa who look like this. Africa, certain parts, are a very mixed country. You're not going to tell me that people who look like you and look like me were the type of people that they took on the boats during chattel slavery. Well, all Americans, all African Americans are mixed. And so I said, well, then if that's the case, you just contradicted yourself because you just said that you were not mixed. And clearly it's recent. Do you really think that your mixture only happened during slavery? It happened post slavery too. I don't know your family history, but there's a pretty good chance of it. Genes don't travel that far. They can be recessive and they can turn up, but they're not going to turn up that much. And would obviously have to be on both sides of your family. And she got quiet. And so I said, this does not unify anything. Imagine what those poor people went through simply because of those who put them in a box because of their own convenience. Nothing unified about the one drop rule theory.
Yeah, well said, exactly. And like you said, with the whole one drop rule, it basically stigmatized people and prevented people, obviously us, it wasn't for African Americans because they couldn't pass. It was for specifically mixed race people, mulattoes or creoles, etc., who
Anyone
had
who had a level of ambiguity.
exactly. And it was for us. And what it did, it prevented us from, like with segregation, it prevented us from living in certain neighborhoods. It prevented us from acquiring bank loans or doing business with certain, companies. Like there's so much it did to prevent us our upward mobility. And so,
Right.
and you mentioned another very valid point where it's like, why are people trying to use the rules of outdated and dead white racist white guys? Like we're in 2024, but they want to go back like these type of Afrocentrics who push the one drop rule. They want to go back 100 years and use that outdated rule. And I say Afrocentric because these are the main ones I see, okay, all over social
Same.
media who are pushing this outdated one drop rule. And, we're definitely going to challenge that. Yeah.
The thing is, these people, they seem to have a stigma for whatever reason. They have an issue with mixed people, so they want us to drown out our complete way of being, what makes us who we are, in order to build numbers among them. And I'm not being a separatist here. Fine, we are all of African descent. We have different parts of it to our genealogy. Some have predominant amount, some have a little bit amount, some have a heavy amount. The thing is, all are individuals. And I always ask this question: what's wrong with being mixed? Nothing. But in this country, in America, no. Never mind what America says. America doesn't make the rules. A lot of people conform and try to follow that without using their own minds. What is wrong with being mixed? I have yet to get a decent answer. They try to answer it with a question: what's wrong with being black? And so I said, absolutely nothing. I've answered your question. Now you can answer mine. I have yet to get a tangible, solid answer.
Yeah, definitely. When you throw these questions back on them, then you can see their projection. Like they are basically dumbfounded. I do that a lot too when I kind of go back and forth with some of these one droppers. But also,
Mhm.
what I wanted to note, I was watching a TikTok live like a week ago, and this was a black identified biracial lady. And her whole thing is like biracials are black, they're still black. And then I
I
was
saw
reading,
that.
yeah, I think I shared it with
Mhm.
the
Yep.
thing is, she was so obnoxious and disgusting, but all they have to legitimize their point and position is scare tactics and fear tactics. It always goes back to, well, the police are going to see you as black, and the police in America, it doesn't matter if you want to be biracial. In America, I'm like, I've been living in America for 30 plus years.
Mhm.
Most people know I'm mixed. They ask me, what are you? That's the question they ask mixed people. What are you? Not only that, like I've had a couple encounters with law enforcement, you know, and the thing is that one of them, I remember one time, I've told this story numerous of times. One of the guys looked at me and was like, "Wait, are you black or something? Are you kind of black?" They don't ask black people that. He didn't know what the
You
hell I
don't.
was. He
If
didn't know what
somebody
the
has to
hell
ask you something, clearly you're not fully of that, or you may not be
exactly.
that at all. You know what I'd love to do when they bring up the whole cop thing? Did you hear about in the news last week? Well, this is a few months ago. There was this young black fellow who was driving along, and a cop stopped him. Five cops, five black cops, took him out, beat the living daylights out of him, and he died screaming for his mother. These guys were kicked off the force and are also in custody right now, and they're going through the whole legal whatever. Now, in America, the cops, they're going to see you as black, and they're going to do this to you. These are five black cops that did this. I brought that up in conversation recently. They shut their mouths really quick.
Oh
Now, this
yeah.
guy was innocent. A lot of these people were actually innocent. They were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. You don't know where you're going to be for whatever reason, so you can't say, well, you should have stayed out of that area. You don't know what is in that area. You probably do, but if you have something that you have to do, where you even have to just drive through that town to get to where you have to go, or if you have business or something that you know in that town, something can happen to you. So you can't say that, oh, well, stay in those areas and the cops won't bother you. Sure, that can happen anywhere. But at the same time, I don't want to say this about cops. This has nothing to do with reflection on them. Personally, I've never had a problem with the police at all. They see me and I'm just some regular whomever, and that's fine. But the thing is, when it comes to the mindset of some people, not everybody should be cops. I'll put it that way. I've known people who become cops who never should have become cops. They're still on the force. I don't know exactly how well they did, but I do know they're the ones that who would harass somebody for no reason at all.
Yeah, no, definitely. Also, I wanted to add on that is that it's funny. I had another encounter. I had a speeding ticket, got pulled over by the motorcycle cop, and he put Hispanic on my ticket, and I contested it in the court, and I got out of the ticket. But also, what you mentioned about, I bring it up to them too. They say, "Well, the cops are going to see you as black," and I'm like, "Well, what about the black cops? The black cops see us as mixed, and then they mistreat us." So there's a lot of
Mhm.
black cops all over the country. They conveniently leave that out. They try to play stupid with us. It's so insulting at this point.
They do.
That's why my delivery is a little bit more assertive on the social media platforms. People can say what they want about me, that I'm, mean or all this stuff or anti this or blah blah blah, but I match people's energy and I'm very assertive because people continuously want to play stupid with us and
They
basically
get and you give it back. And that I can respect. Because
yeah.
look, on TikTok, TikTok is a great platform, but it is a place for cowards to try to be bullies towards others. And what I don't like about TikTok, someone could be bullying you, you answer back, and then they'll put you on a flag saying, oh, well, you violated guidelines. Last week, I think you saw this video. Unapologetically biracial and proud put this out, where this was the video with dark complected MGMs. I'm in the video as well, so you had a couple other people that were in there. And I reposted it, and then they said, you violated our guidelines. We had to take this down. And then I hit the appeal button. So I said, why are you taking something down that is not aggressive towards people? All it is just showing the different types of people within the mixed community. I won the appeal and they put it back up. Some people get threatened when it comes to things like this. And for what reason? Why would someone like me or like you be a threat to you? How? In terms of profession? In terms of social climbing? Social interaction? I'm one of old school. My character is what makes me me. My genetic composition, my race says, that's a part of me, but it does not define me. The kind of person that I am, how I treat people, how I treat my family, that is what makes me who I am. And a lot of people say, you're living in a dream world, not in this world. So I say, guess what? I've been living in this world long enough. And I know the type of people to stay away from, and I know the type of people to gravitate towards. And then you can mix and match. Meaning, all right, I know somebody who's doing this. Be nice to them. You never know, you may need their help someday. And you keep it nice and even. Not everybody has this ideology, or somebody even call it a talent. But the fact is, if I've ever come across any cops, they treated me like a normal person. One night, years ago, about, oh boy, over 20 years ago, I'm in this neighborhood that I live in. And it was a fall night. And I said, you know what? It's a beautiful night outside. Let me just go and walk towards the park. And I'm a regular looking guy. I had on a pair of jeans and sneakers and a jean jacket. It's clean, always shaven, hair together. And I'm walking on the sidewalk, and a cop car pulls up to me. You hear you, woo, woo, you know, and so he says, "Hey, how are you?" And so I said, "Hey guys, how you doing?" And so they said, "Sorry to disturb you, but why are you out here?" And so I said, "Oh, well, it's such a nice night outside. It's not that dark out." I said, "Let me go walk over by the park, get a little exercise, and then come back." And so he says, "Okay, you look like a nice person, so we'll tell you straight. Be careful. There's some activity going on in the area. We don't want to see anything happen to you. So your best bet is go back to where you came from." And it wasn't go back to where you came from. It was best that you go back home, because we're trying to protect the area. And so I said, "Thanks, guys." And so I said, "Listen, I'm a few blocks away. Want to give me a lift?" And so they said, "Sure." Now anybody would say, "Why would you get into a cop car? That could be a setup." Listen, I can read people really well. I had no arms on me. I was a regular person. Inside of a cop car is like any other car, except it had a gate on it. And then they took me home, and then that was it. Now, other than that, I've never had any interactions with. Wait. Okay. When I was living in Guadeloupe, a French department in the Caribbean, I lived there on and off for about 4 years. I was driving somewhere and it was daytime. And so they were checking the roads because there was some activity that was going on somewhere. And so they had me pull over and I got out of the car and I said, "What is your name?" And so I said, "Hello, my name is Philip Arnell. How are you?" And they saw that I was not from this place. I'm a French national too, but I did not grow up there. And so they said, "What are you doing out here?" And so I said, "Well, I'm actually on my way to the grocery store to get a few things and go back. Is everything okay? We have some activity in the area and you should not be out on the road." And so I said, "Okay." They said, "By the way, why are you here in Guadeloupe?" And so I said, "I live here." "You live here?" And so I said, "Yes, I'm a French national as well. Let me see your ID." You never know who they could be dealing with, so I can respect that. I showed him my ID, my French national card, and I said, okay. And, then we got into a nice conversation about America and New York and being a French territory and so forth. How are you adapting to it? They warmed up very nicely. And then that was basically it. Every now and then I would see them on the road. They would hail me and I'd hail them. Fine. And I always saw these guys carting some guy away, and I'm glad it wasn't me. But then another time while I was living in Guadeloupe, I went over to St. Martin for a weekend and there was something that was going on. It must have been a season because all the years that I've been going there, or if I lived there, or whatever else, I never saw anything happen. So I was with my cousin. I went to pick her up. She lived on a friend's side. And so we're leaving the friend's side to go over to the Dutch side, and the cop stops us. And so he said, "We're checking cars for whatever." So I said, "Okay." And so, "Where are you from?" And so I said, "I'm from New York." "What are you doing here?" And so I said, "Well, I'm actually visiting from Guadeloupe." "What are you doing in Guadeloupe?" "I live there." "You live there?" I'm like, this conversation seems so familiar. And so I went through the whole thing again. And again, they were very nice. The gendarmes, they're strict. But if you get on the good side, they treat you just like anybody else. I don't know what would happen if I was in one of those southern states. I could be like one of those victims that were either killed or shot or jailed unjustifiably. I don't know what would have happened. I would like to think that because of the type of person that I am, and some people say, "You're living in a dream world. You're a black man. You have this, that, and so forth." Hey, listen, a lot of the time, it can be how you carry yourself. Yeah, you could have some rogue cop who's out for anybody of color, but you never know how you carry yourself. What are you, an Uncle Tom? An Uncle Tom, if an Uncle Tom means being polite and having manners and knowing when to speak and when not to speak to avoid any kind of confrontation, I'll be the biggest Uncle Tom you've ever met. Because a lot of people out there who will say, "Oh, well, I'm going to fight the cops, F the police, and this, that, and the other thing." So, no, it doesn't get you anywhere. I'm an educated person informally. I'm also an educated person formally as well. I use my common sense. I could have been in a lot of bad situations just like anybody else. But because I use my informal common sense education, that's what has always saved me. Some may say, "Oh, you're a bit arrogant, are you?" So I said, "Yeah, I am." Because when it comes to doing the right thing and how to conduct myself, I will be the most arrogant person you would ever want to meet, but polite about it.
Yeah, excellent points. And your definitely lived experience and maturity shows in your explanation
Thank
for
you.
sure. Like with the judgment of character and being able to read people, definitely. And for me, I know it's going to take more time because I'll be honest, I've been pretty gullible, especially like within this social media experiment, like within some of the mixed spaces online, where I
Mhm.
put a lot of trust into people. And you, if you know, and what you find out is there's a lot of people who are basically clout chasers, or they're trying to find information on you to turn on you. They see that like my audience, I can grow an audience, and then people see
Oh
that
yes.
they get jealous, they try to sabotage. So it's crazy. So for me, my ability to read people hasn't been the best. I know that, but I know with the age and maturity, I'll be
Right. It
better at
comes
that.
with age and time. I just
Yeah.
made 56 last week, and I look back on my life, the different experiences that I've had. I've had a very good life. I have great parents who are still with us. They're going to be 90 and 91. They still have their marbles about them. I've got a great wife, Paula, and she turned, well, I won't say her age. She's still a young woman. She's younger than I am, and she had a birthday today. So happy birthday, Paula. And I've had all these positive role models in my life within my family. I'm not a financially rich man, but I am very rich in love. And this is something that my cousin, Carwin Lowe, had reminded me of yesterday, of what being rich in finances is in comparison to being rich in love. And being rich in love has gotten me through many a door. And it has taught me a lot of lessons. I teach that to my children as well. The main thing, always live the truth in terms of who you are, your identity. No one can ever take that away from you. Don't ever let anyone try to tell you that you are something that you are not. Don't try to change your persona or the way that you behave to fit in with somebody. That's the worst thing that you can do, because if someone cannot accept you for how you are and how your own individual culture from your family is, they're not worth your time. I stress that in my children. Make sure, yes, you're going to pick up little slang terms and little body movements and so forth, because we learn things from people. Know when to apply it and know when not to apply it. And my children range from now 14 up to 25, and they are all walking a good path in life and have a strong sense of true identity, not what you want to be to fit in.
Yeah, and that's definitely something that a lot of mixed people struggle with for sure, is trying to fit in, not
Mhm.
knowing where they belong, trying to find a home. That's truly like our struggle amongst everybody.
It is.
People have struggles, but for us specifically as a group demographic, a lot of us see, for me, I figured this out a few years ago. I realized, look, I don't see anything out here that's fitting to me. I just got to create it. And I encourage other
Right.
people, just create your own circles, create your own communities, create your own networks, and build upon that. And that's a
Know
simple
when to follow, but know when to be a leader. That's my whole thing right there. I've gotten criticism through the years through reductive thinking individuals. Oh, well, why do you make things harder for yourself? Just say that you're black. That's how they see you. That tells me if they just see me as that one thing and not really overlooking, rather, yeah, looking at everything that makes me who I am. Okay? I'm not talking about the physical aspect of it. Everything, persona, the culture, the character, all that stuff ties into one. If you're going to tell me that I am A, you don't know much about people. Oh, well, it's more convenient. Convenient for who? Convenient for you? Because you don't want to take the time to get to learn somebody? No, you don't do that. And what I don't like is that when you have people of color who do that, especially if they are mixed people of color that do not even realize that they are itself. So many people I have gotten into conversations with, nice conversations. Very rarely do they ever get heated. And I tell them, or I try to educate them about people as a whole. And I've been able to entice them to look into their own backgrounds and say, oh, wow, I didn't really realize this. And it was not a way to try to disarm them with their walls to try to protect what their identity is. This is just trying to get a person to open up their mind to see if there's more to them than what somebody else told you. And it could be just your family who told you that because they themselves are hiding from whatever, or it could be society around you. Walk your own path and teach others.
Yeah, extremely straightforward approach. And that's basically what I'm doing as well. Yeah. And I encourage it to other people I talk to. Just kind of do your own thing, walk your own path, but help educate others, help teach others, especially the youth, those who are younger than you. Because for me, I stress I don't want the young mulattoes to waste their time trying to prove black people anything, black Americans. I don't
Right.
want them to try to waste their time continuously in this cycle of trying to prove their blackness, prove their blackness. I want them to save their time. Don't waste your time doing that, because I wasted a few years, we could say several years. We call it the pro black phase, which a lot of mulattoes fall into that because they're
Hmm.
searching for identity. As they mature, they're trying to develop, and what they do is they gravitate a lot towards that the black group, thinking that if they serve them and fight harder for them than they do themselves, that they'll get membership access, because a lot of mulattoes are looking for a place to belong. And my whole thing is I'm trying to convince people, don't waste your time, like build something that serves you uniquely and people who have a shared experience as you. It just
Some
makes
people never grow out of that. You ever see some people who are mixed, and no matter what conversation that they have, they'll always put in some little plug that they are black.
Yeah, the
And I'm like,
default. There's a default setting they have,
right.
like, from trauma. A lot of that default setting comes from older people who experienced some trauma back in, like, the 60s or 70s
Hmm.
70s, like, a segregated America. Like, they always bring back these traumatic stories from their childhood. I'm like, "Well, look, it's a new day today, 2024. You can literally live in any neighborhood you want if you have the money. You can join any
Exactly.
social club or go to any gym." Like, the segregation, it's not segregated like it was in the 60s or 70s, but they have this default setting of this, like, black guilt, to say it's programming embedded in their head. I feel like with a lot of older folks who, it, like you said, it doesn't matter like what conversations you have with them. You try to position logic and common sense and reasoning, they
They don't
still
want to hear that.
revert back because that's just how they were kind of enculturated and socialized. And yeah, it's sad to see that when they're 50 plus years old and they're still like trying to
Oh
fight for
man.
acceptance. Like, and they're lighter than me. They look, there's guys who look whiter than me. And like, but they're still, they swear up and down they're just a black person. It's like, okay, okay, like the conversation's not gonna go anywhere. But yeah.
Look, let me tell you, so many people have said, well, you're not from this country. You're not born here. Let me tell you something. I was born in New York on Queens Boulevard, St. John's Queens Hospital, 56 years ago. I look great for my age. Thank you. The thing is, I grew up within, rather immersed in my culture of the Caribbean. In a home, I was in the Caribbean. When I came outside, I had to battle with whatever was on the outside, those elements, and try not to lose myself in the outside culture when I had my core culture at home. I am well aware of what goes on in so many different parts of the world. As for this country right here, I have my identity. Again, a proud Caribbean American who is mixed race. I've seen both sides of what goes on here from the American standpoint, viewing the American standpoint, not so much experiencing to the point where other people have who family has been here for many generations. I also know what goes on in the Caribbean and all the different parts of it. It is one culture as a whole, but there are those who have different parts. You have the Latin section, you have the Dutch section, you have the French section, you have the British section. It's one giant gene pool. I know what colorism is. I've seen it in families, and it can be very detrimental to a person's esteem. It can either make you or break you, and I'll elaborate on that. You could be cast aside for your complexion or for your hair texture, and you can be fully mixed. I'm talking just from the mixed race families. You can be fully mixed, and however that you were treated, you can say, "Oh wow, I'm nothing. I'm never going to amount to anything, and I'm just going to struggle through life and so forth." And sadly, many of them have. Or it could be the other side of the fence. Well, they said this about me. I know it's not true. I'm going to go after this and get what I want. They become very successful, but they are still stigmatized because their esteem has been challenged. A lot of them were able to overcome it, but a lot of them revert back to it when they get older because a lot of things that were never rectified from the past you now can't do anything about. And that's the sad part to spend your later years thinking, oh wow, if I did this. Yes, but look at it this way. Look at all the things that you had accomplished on a personal level and on a professional level. It takes a very strong person to really read into that sentence. Only some can, but unfortunately, a lot of them can't. So I know what's going on around here.
Yeah, it's that default setting that I referenced where a lot of them have
Mhm.
it just through their socialization process. It's embedded in their mind. A default
Right.
setting of this black kind of guilt where they know they're not the same as their like black relatives or black friends or environment they grew up in, but they want to appease black people and make black people feel comfortable. So sadly, a lot of mixed people, they try to humble themselves to not to
Yeah.
make black people feel more comfortable. This comment here, I wanted to talk about this. The Golden Goth puts trying to merge with the black community has got a lot of mixed people messed up.
That's true because they're not being their authentic selves. Look, as a mixed person, I will tell you, I've never tried to appease one side or the other sides. I have to be myself because from small, I learned, okay, I'm a part of this, I'm part of this, I'm part of this. I was lucky enough to have innocence up until I was 7 years old. Innocence in terms of knowing the differences of people. I saw my family from the whitest of the white to the darkest of the dark, and then those like myself who were in the middle. Everybody who I came across, who was a part of the family, they were my family. That's it. It wasn't until I was in the second grade when I went to all places, a Catholic school, where some kid in the bathroom decided I'm going to start using the N word and start using the H word. And he pointed at my direction. So I said, okay, this guy clearly wants attention. I was insightful at that age to know that this guy was a bit of a jerk. And so I said, why are you talking like that? So he said, that's my business. So I said, well, you should keep your business to yourself because you're making a fool of yourself. At the age of 7, I was saying things like this. Don't you know this jerk became a cop? Ugh, he was always a jerk in school. But the thing is, for me, it was instilled know who you are and don't try to be a part of something that you are a part of, but overly trying to be a part of something. You can have commonalities with your African descendant side. You can have commonalities with your Euro side, your Amerindian side, but your experiences are going to be different on different levels. Some may be the same,
Exactly.
some may not be the same, but there's a good bulk of them that are not going to be the same because everyone is an individual.
Yeah,
I
you make
can't put a bunch of people in a box like that.
Yeah, no, you make an excellent point where it's like, yeah, because even for me, I'm connected with my African side. Like, I love drumming, djembe drumming. There's so many
Mhm.
aspects of like West African culture, specifically Ghanaian culture, that I love and embrace. And
Oh, it's a beautiful culture.
yeah, and I'm proud of that. Like I can definitely I connect with that. But it's like you said, like I acknowledge the fact that I'm uniquely different from a lot of them. I can connect with their culture and the people, etc. But I am still independently different from them. I've embraced that and acknowledged that. I think a lot of
Right.
people are kind of struggling with that reality, and everyone individually, they're on their own path. I know we're not all the same, but it's just it's a life journey. I think, like I said, I'm not really super mature yet. I'm in my 30s, but talking to someone like you who has a couple decades, you know, over me, definitely I can learn a lot like through your lived experience and stuff like that. So that's why I enjoy talking with you.
I
Also,
respectfully love talking to you, and also respectfully, you're pretty wise beyond your years. Okay.
appreciate that. Well, another part of this discussion, also because we're talking about the one drop rule amongst
Mhm.
various other topics, you also referenced something a week ago that I wanted to go into further detail with is that why people are so obsessed and pressed on mixed people identifying as mixed. Like they look at it as if they're losing something or that we're attacking them or we're against them. It's not about being against anybody. It's just we are embracing who we are and we're celebrating it. But there's a lot of people who are bothered by that. And they use the outdated one drop rule to try to humble us and say, like you said, like people will tell you, America just sees you as black, which is BS. But people have an issue with mixed people identifying as mixed. Can you please talk more about that? Because it's a
Yes, by
crazy.
all means. Here's an example. You have somebody who will say, oh, well, my family's from wherever else, and so forth. And the what are you question. So I'm mixed race and I'm Caribbean. First, there's a pause. Oh, and when they go, oh, that tells me that they seem to have a hang up about it because I identify by the truth. Why does this bother you? Instantly, people have been trained to take offense to that, it seems. I'm not saying it's a fact. I'm not saying I'm right, but I'm definitely not saying I'm wrong, considering I've seen this so many times. Oh, he's mixed. He doesn't want to be black. He doesn't know what he is. He doesn't like black people. Where did you get any of that from? I'm mixed. And when you say the term I'm mixed, you are including all of yourself. That's the part that I don't understand. Now, I love the what are you question because it shows if you're going to take the time to ask me that, you're not putting me in a box. You're not trying to categorize me according to what you feel and how you think I should identify as. What are you? Tell you what I am, and your reaction will tell me if you're racist or you're a colorist or you simply don't know anything about people outside of your own very small circle. So if someone replies like this, oh wow, that's cool. Or rather, all right, not everybody's going to know because people, a generalized topic, just for the generalized comment, just for the discussion that we're having. A lot of people don't know how to recognize mixed people unless they are looking at, okay, well, he doesn't have this, doesn't have this, doesn't have this. He can't be any of those things. That's when you school people, when you're mixed, you could come out in a variety of different looks, all rolled into one. I'm the type of person that will say, okay, I am mixed. I'm proud for this and I'm proud for that. And I try to keep the conversation light and easy because you don't know how people are going to react. Now, if they're generally interested, oh, wow, I didn't know that. Oh, tell me about yourself. Just simply when they say, tell me about yourself. Oh, mixed with what? Not, oh, really? Mixed with what? You're mixed? Come on. They'll haul your black A into jail. Okay, that tells you right there. You're not intelligent at all. You may be able to read books, but you don't know what they mean. And I've never gotten into a conversation face to face with people on this because that usually shuts them down. I'll more so correct people if they come at me online because I don't think anybody is that dumb to do it in person because I'll lay you to rest. Not in an aggressive way. I'll just use simple conversation. I don't have to curse you out. I don't have to insult you. You're already insulting yourself because you're showing me and you're showing the world you don't know very much about anything. Some people will say, oh, you have an attitude about this. I don't have an attitude about it. You're the one who approached me with the condescending remarks. So I'm just giving you back exactly what you deserve. Why there's such a stigma? Why do they think, oh, so you're saying that you're better than me? I
Yeah,
never said I'm better than you. You just said that I'm better than you. I
right.
didn't even agree with you. What's making me better than you right now is that I'm not behaving how you are. And
Exactly.
if you want to, right, I'm not the type of person. If you say, um, okay, an African American and I have some Greek lineage. Oh, well, that's cool. What part of Greece are you from? You know, whatever. And just leave it at that. I'm not talking about your culture, cultural ID. I'm not talking about your ethnicity. You told me something personal about yourself. I said, well, that's wonderful. You've been able to dig as far back as whatever. Then you have the people you can find on TikTok, and they'll say, I have blonde hair, blue eyes, and I'm light skinned, and my hair is curly, 3B hair, whatever, and I am black. Okay, culturally, you identify as a Black American. Black American culture is a respected culture that has helped to shape the world. It has. It has had so much influence on everybody. It's a very positive culture to know and know about. And for those who are a part of it, hats off because you have such an amazing history that was built on blood, sweat, and tears. But out of those blood, sweat, and tears and ashes, so many beautiful things have grown. Now, be proud of that. If somebody is a part of that, great, embrace them. Part is the operative word. Don't demonize them if they say they're only a part of that, only saying, oh, you don't want to be whole. Also, I'm not a part of African American culture. I have the utmost respect for it. I'm a part of Caribbean culture, Caribbean American culture. That is something to be equally proud of as well, because we've had our blood, sweat, and tears as well, and may not have been as intense, depending on where, as in the United States. But the fact of the matter is, we've had to build ourselves as Caribbean people as a whole, and also as a diaspora as a whole, to try and stay in contact and in touch with our culture rather than having it lost and being forced to assimilate into a culture that we live among. A lot of people say, "Why do you say it like that?" I'm not describing a disease. I'm telling you an honest facts. The
Yeah,
stigma behind that is, oh, I'm sorry to cut you off. The stigma is a lot of people think, oh, you think that you're better than me. For you to say you think that you're better than me, and I never said that to you, I never even implied it, and I never even had that tone in my voice. That's a you problem. That is your own esteem issue that was forced upon you. Learn more about people, travel more, and when you go there, just don't look around saying, "Oh, this is what I see." Learn, talk with people. You will pick up pretty quick.
yeah, excellent point. Man, I was gonna say something, but I lost my train of thought. I wanted to
I'm
piggyback
so
off.
sorry about that.
It's okay. No, there was something you mentioned I wanted to reference. Just about how a lot of mixed people kind of get stuck like in this weird position because they're trying to fit into a community or a group that doesn't fully represent them. And it
Hmm.
saddens me when they want to continuously do that for years and years and years. And I don't want them to like waste their life trying to serve other people and not get any benefits or any residuals in return. But look at this comment from Goth. She puts TikTok is a mess. It's full of attention seekers. Now, this
It
comment,
is.
I want to piggyback off what you said earlier
Hmm.
because I think TikTok is the worst. They're very anti-biracial. They deleted the account of biracial awareness, and he's been doing great work for years. I don't know if he got his account reinstated, but
Yeah.
they've
Oh
been
no. Okay. Yeah, you're right.
they've been flagging his account biracial awareness, and he's doing great work and he's not offensive at all. I'm the bad guy.
Hmm.
I'm the guy that can be very offensive, not him. He's at just educational platform. But the thing is with the TikTok, you have a lot of cry bullies. You have these people
Hmm.
who are attention seekers. They want to start crap, they want to instigate. And then once you match that energy, once you give them that energy back that they gave you, they want to
Then they
report
report you.
you. They want to cry and whine. It's so cowardice, and I lose respect for those people every day when I interact with them on social media. I lose more and more respect for them because I see their flawed strategy. It's like this is pathetic and weak. How are you going to start crap with me and then I basically push back on you and match that energy, and then they cry victim. Like
Right.
a respectable adult doesn't act like that. It's like children act like that. Like they think they're special or they have some special privileges where they look at us as mixed people as being their kind of pawns or their crash test dummies, their tools. And once
They'll
they
try to make
see us,
personal attacks on you, and they don't even know you. Look, some
they'll talk
fool the other day, and yeah,
they'll talk
it's
about
no.
my mom. Yeah, they'll talk about my mom or my
Yeah.
parents, or like they'll bring up you must have a white dad or something like this. Or
Oh,
you they bring up and they make crap up. I had one guy I had to block because on this channel because he's trying to say that I'm a part of some fraternity or secret society with an agenda. They make up weird shit, like weird conspiracies. I'm serious. When you on social
we're
media,
going to, as mixed people, we're going to mix you out of existence. You're doing that to yourself. Okay. You're the one who's trying to stir the pot on something that is not doesn't have any need to be stirred. Some fool. I'm going to use the term. I don't like to call people names, but I'm going to say it. Some fool made some comment or made a video, whatever else. Oh no, not you again. And so I said, "That's right, it's me." And what are the three words that I have for you? Prove me wrong. They hate when I say that because everything that I have to say is tangible. It's not based on a consideration. Again, the word I live by. A consideration is never a fact. It is only an allowance or an acceptance. That's it. I've gotten into a lot of battles in regard to the post about Kamala Harris's father. Okay? He's from Jamaica. Automatically, he is black. Wow, you know nothing about Jamaica. You know nothing about the Caribbean. This man, just by looking at him, you can tell that he is mixed race, multi generational. He could be Indian somewhere in his past, but of what I see, he is of African and European background, multiply. Look at the man. Then you have people who will really try to reach and say, well, people in Africa, he could have descended from those. That's right. They all just migrated, or that one person migrated and made him. Come on. Or somebody came to the United States and made all those other people like that. Fine. Look at that picture. Look at his physique. Okay? Both nice looking fellows. Okay? But respectfully, they are not from the same background. I don't know what the other gentleman's background is. His family could be from whatever. Well, let's just say, for the sake of discussion, he's an African American who is predominantly of African descent, respectfully. Look at Kamala's dad.
And it's not just the skin color. That's what I try to point out to people.
Right.
It's the
Skin
facial
color has
symmetry.
nothing to do with it.
Look at their
Right.
noses. Yeah, exactly.
They don't want to see that. Like when that person said, "Oh, um, both my parents are black, and I have blonde hair, blue eyes, and this, that, and the other thing." So I said, "Really? Dig into your past.
We got two mixed
You are
parents.
identifying right. You have people, perhaps most likely from what you describe your phenotype, from both sides that have a mix to their background, and it's fairly recent and multiplied. You can have somebody who has two, oh, four second great grandparents who are all biracial, and then they made their kids, and then they made their kids, and those offspring also got with other mixed people. You're still going to be a biracial person, second, third, even fourth generation. Come on, what's the matter with you? Apply a little science. You're trying to rewrite science? You're trying to prove science wrong? Good luck with that one. We have an eternity to watch you fail. You're never going to do it. Plain and simple. Stop reaching out for the Eugene. Okay? Come on. These people will defend it to the highest heaven
Yeah,
just because they want to be right. I don't
yeah.
agree with it. I've discussed it with doctors. I've even had a personal doctor speak on this and school me on it. People, they just want to have things to uplift themselves. I can understand that. But if you're going to uplift something within yourself or people like you, do it within yourself because there's so many amazing things within you by yourself. I may not even know you, but you probably have some quality that is so outstanding that you've never even tapped into. And there
Well,
could be other people like you as well too.
the thing is, though, with a lot of them, they have a lot of low self-esteem, so they need mixed
That's it.
people. Like you need to use mixed people to lift themselves up, to make themselves feel better about themselves. That's the sad part where I got to kind of push back and jump in because I'm not going to be used out here. And a
The
lot of them
sad
think,
part, yeah,
yeah,
sorry.
a lot of them
The
think so.
sad
And
part is,
go
sorry
ahead.
about that.
No, go ahead.
The
Go ahead.
sad part is this low self-esteem has been transcended from generations before them. They were never taught to think outside of the box. I have a good friend of mine who's an MGM, and she's very pro MGM. When I say pro MGM, she's not one of these people that walks around and says, "I'm mixed, I'm this, that, and so forth." Someone asks, she'll tell you she's a part of the mixed group. She's very engaging, but her own family was saying, "Oh, stop this mixed crap. You're black." Really? I expect some white racist to say something like that, not my own family who I came from. I'm glad I don't come from a family like that. If there are those in the family who are like that, I don't deal with them. Plain and simple. I like to educate the people in my family as to who they are and where they came from. Many of them don't know. Many of them now know. And they said, okay, well, I ask questions about how come this person looked like this, or was this person this, or was this person that? Oh, I didn't know that. Well, you came to the right person. I'm letting you know about your personal background. You are now in a different realm of knowledge. The best knowledge that you can have is to learn about yourself. That's what you can teach others. Not to be like you, but to reach out and get to know themselves. Sorry I cut you off before.
No, no, you're good. You're good. This is all for you. Check this comment out right here. This is really there's another comment I want to get to, but
Hmm.
and Golden Goth is really putting in good work in the comments here. She puts here they need Kamala to be black, even though she has no plans specifically to help the black community, but they want to use her as a mixed woman to like represent them. It's kind of the same dynamic with Obama as we talked
It
about
is.
earlier. It's very sad where like they that's why they really a lot of them they love the one drop rule because they feel like
Hmm.
it's going to uplift them. They want to use this mixed person as a proxy to kind of help elevate them as a collective in society. But it hasn't really worked out for them, in my opinion. It really
No,
hasn't.
because you know why? Because they at the same time marry who you want. Everybody has a preference. You'll have people who will marry a person just because of what they look like. You'll see white people who will marry just white people because that's what I want. I don't want any mixed children. You'll see black people who will do the same thing. Then you will have mixed people who will go from wherever it goes. I want this and I want that and so forth. And they now, what a lot of people do, all right, prime example, and I don't want to put anybody in a box, but just for the sake of discussion, look at black athletes. Look what they always get together with: marry, divorce, and have children with either white women or heavily mixed women. Think about it. And then they say, oh, well, she's black. Okay, let's just say that to appease you. The fact of the matter is, she is not fully or at all, but you want to have it where you can say, okay, I'm still within the black community. And if I have children with a white woman, they're still black because of me. Think about that. That's when you're drowning yourself out of existence because you're purposely going after these people rather than for their character, but what they look like and what kind of children you could possibly have.
No, excellent point. And even when you think of like Patrick Mahomes, his father was a Major League Baseball athlete as well. He got with a
Hmm.
white woman and has Patrick Mahomes, and so it's and then Patrick Mahomes, I think his wife is white. So and then they
Hmm.
talk about how the black gene is dominant, and Patrick Mahomes is the best
No,
example. It's not. It's the best example of that because, like, yeah, it's yeah.
if the
But
black gene was dominant, you could not have a fully black person straight out of Africa with the white person from Scandinavia produce a child that looks like a white person. There are
exactly.
genes that will go that way. Usually, when that happens, is because the black parent usually has some type of white background, but it can also happen remotely where the person who is, quote, for lack of a better term, 100% black. Okay, so if the black gene is so dominant, why is it that that child that you're having with either a mixed person or a white person, even if you have a little bit of a mix yourself or not, doesn't look like a 100% sub-Saharan African? No, black gene. Just because you have a tint to your skin, you have a curl to your hair,
Hmm.
that doesn't mean you're 100% black. If
Exactly.
you're 100% black, that's great because that's who you are. You're beautiful as a human being. Again, people don't like the term species amongst humans. It's a fact. Remember we spoke about cats? Okay. Humans, we're all the same, 99.9% the same. But there are different types of humans, different types of species of humans who have their own genetic factors to them. Look at diseases. Okay. Look at things that we inherit biologically. Everybody came from Africa. Yes, all life started in Africa, but they did not turn into different types of species until they migrated to different locations, or rather, the land masses broke apart. Anybody that you, all right, the oldest bones that they found in Africa, they were not looking like modern day people. They weren't. These were subhumans. Now, when the land masses broke apart during the Ice Age and all this other stuff, and land went down towards below the equator or off the equator or above the equator and so forth, through the generations, their bodies adapt to it. So stop saying all black people black people were the first people who were on the planet. No, these were humanoids, for lack of a better term. I may be
Yeah.
using the wrong jargon for this, but the fact of the matter is, if you look at the earliest people that were in Europe or Africa and so forth, they found the remains of people within a matter of millions of years that they found this person, say, 5 million years ago. And then they found this person 3 million years ago. And they're both still, quote unquote, black because they did the CGI and so forth. Everybody looked the same because they were in a hot climate. Then everything changed. Look at Cheddar Man. If Cheddar Man actually really looked like that, he had dark skin, he had blue eyes,
I
and
don't
he had
know.
straightest hair.
I don't know
Oh, you
who
never
that
heard of Cheddar Man? Oh
No.
yeah.
Is it
Yeah, look up Cheddar
anthropological?
Man with a gun.
Is
Oh
it
yeah.
anth
Look up.
uh,
Yep. And they found Cheddar Man's offspring millions of years later. Amazing. Now you'll see the CGI image of him. His eyes are blue. That
yeah.
means that his line of people who probably started out in Africa now moved over because of landmass shifts, or they might have even migrated. You think because they moved to England or what was there he is, there he is. If you see the first row and you yeah, that's him. And that's the
Yeah,
teacher. Right.
yeah.
Look at that guy. That means that his family was in that new location and the bodies were already starting to adapt to the climate.
Interesting. Yeah, I've seen
People
this
don't look at it from
image.
that perspective. Yeah.
I've seen this image, but I wasn't aware of the reference of the name Cheddar Man. I haven't looked into this stuff that much. I'll be honest with you. But
This is so cool. Oh man. You oh
before we move on, because I've had this comment up for a while. I do want to
oh
address
yes.
this. This is an important comment. Shout out to GoldenGoth. She puts here, the black community wants the mixed men in servitude to be crash test dummies, to be punks or like foot soldiers. That's really what it is. They want the men like me and others to be in servitude, serving the black community, and they want the mixed women to be breeders. There's a term
Hmm.
in Latin America in Spanish, like about improving the race. Like there's a common term in in Latin America where there's some people who want to move more towards the European side. So it's like, well, don't go for the, I don't know the term, what they call it, but or the phrase where it's like they're saying don't mix in with the Africans, mix in with the Europeans more to improve the race, something like that. But there's
They've been staying in the Caribbean for years.
a lot of African Americans have that same mindset.
Oh yeah.
What they want to pretend like a biracial woman is a black woman, so they'll get with like a Tariq Nasheed or whatever. They'll get with
Right.
a biracial woman and have kids, so their kids are going to be less black. Like their kids are going to have considerable admixture, anywhere around 30%, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what she puts here is spot on. And
I've heard that
us
in the Caribbean for years. You know
us
how many
younger.
people have said, "Oh man, check this out." That people have said, "Oh, well, your best bet would be to mix a woman, to get with a mixed woman and have children because they'll have a better chance in life." Now, I didn't follow that. Everybody has a type. Granted, I love mixed women. So much that I have in common with them and so forth. NGM, it could be biracial. Mixed is mixed. But I did not pick the woman that I'm married to simply because of how she looked. I picked the woman that I'm married to simply because she hit all the right buttons and helped to make me who I am and who I was to become today. My wife is mostly of an Amerindian background. She's from Guyana, from Pomeroon, Guyana, and she has grown up on the reservation for the Arawaks in over by the Essequibo River, known as Pomeroon. And her family still speaks it. Her mother speaks it. Her father, he's not with us anymore. He speaks it, along with her aunts and uncles and so forth. She has, on her father's side, there was an African in his background, and on her mother's side, there was an African and European on her side. Now, but predominantly on both sides of the family, they were of Amerindian descent and background. I picked Paula because she's Paula. Paula could have been like my shoes. She could have been like my business shirt. If she did not have the character that she had, I would have never chose her. If she looked like my shirt or my shoes, as long as she had the character that I fell in love with her for, I would then be with Paula if she looked like my shirt or my shoes. That's a weird analogy, but I've heard people in the Caribbean say, "Oh, stick to whatever" and so forth. Again, it's a very coloristic region. There are wonderful things about Caribbean culture, but that's one of the cons that make Caribbean people look bad.
Now, this is the phrase I was speaking about earlier. It's medora la raza, and it's a like better. It translates to bettering the race, which is common in
Oh
Latin
wow,
America, and but Black American males have that same mindset where
I've noticed that too.
they want to improve their phenotype and their race in America. Now, this is just speculation, guys. I'm just throwing this out there. I know people are definitely not going to agree with that, but
Mm,
the behavior, the evidence is all around us. A lot of us mulattoes and other multiracials have come to this conclusion that we see that with the behavior of a lot of Black American males when they pick a biracial woman and pretend like she's Black. What they're really trying
yep,
to do is improve their race. They want her European genes.
it's
Okay,
true.
they want to improve their, and sociologists have already documented this over 100 years ago. There's a guy, his name is E.B. Reuter. He was part of
Mhm.
Chicago Psychology University out there. He was a sociologist. He wrote a book called The Superiority of the Mulatto. In that book, in the text, he documented, this is over 100 years ago. He said he studied and analyzed black males and said a lot of them, to improve themselves, they want to marry into the mulatto class. So they want to find a mulatto woman to marry into that group. This has been a,
Especially in the business world.
this
You'll find a lot
behavior,
of black men who pick white wives or mulatto wives or whatever
people have
just
been
to improve
documenting
the
this
image.
for over a century. This is not just speculation. I mean, so, and and so, yeah, we see this image here. It definitely gets talked about within Latin America, but people don't really talk about it that much in African American group demographic in America. Maybe
No,
the
because a lot of
black
times the
women.
truth is something that annoys people,
Yeah,
and when you talk about it, it has this attention, not attention, it has a tendency to make people look bad. Remember, people get angry at the truth, not so much at a lie.
yeah, yeah. And like I say, like with the actions, looking at this comment here, she puts, they can shout from the rooftops that they love their blackness, but their actions say otherwise when they choose a partner who is not black. And
Oh,
then,
that's when they say, I have a right to choose whoever I want. I'm still this. Yeah, but if you're going to be pro black, you're going to be this, that, and so forth, and defend, why would you then go with somebody that, fine, you have a preference. But if you're also black minded, why would you get with a white woman?
but
Doesn't
they
make sense. You're
project.
then discrediting yourself.
I'm not gonna de-police, okay? I'm not here to tell anybody who to be with and who they should be with. I've never been in
Right.
that position. My whole thing is for these people who want to project onto us, and they want to tell us who we are, or you hate your black side or this or that. But then you look at their behavior and their patterns, you're looking at them like you can't say anything. You're a hypocrite. You have no room to talk. So that's always been my thing. It's just like where I see that within the African American group, where it's like, okay, they don't like biracial men. They say biracial men are weak and sassy and all this stuff, but yet they
I've heard
like
that too.
biracial, but they like biracial women. So yeah, you're right. I'm gonna call that crap out because I'm sitting there
Hmm.
like, well, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't, you're not gonna continuously play this game. They can get away with it with some people, but there's gonna be more of us guys who are basically going to step up and challenge it. And they're going to start to cry and whine more, report our channels, report our social media. That's what they do. Because I know it's not white
Yep.
people. I know it's not Latinos or white people who are
No.
reporting our social media or flagging us or doxing us. These are black Americans who are doxing us, harassing us, flagging our channels, reporting us
Facts.
as black Americans. So I mean, they got, the consequences are going to be there. I mean, if they think they're going to just bully people into submission, it's really an ineffective strategy because they're only empowering us as we grow. More and more people are getting access to this information, and they realize, oh, wait a second, they have an alternative option. The
Hmm.
multiracial option. I use mulatto because I'm ultra specific. But for all intents and purposes, the multiracial option is growing drastically. And I know you like Kamala Harris for that reason as well, but also to kind of rub it in the face of like the annoying people on the right for sure.
Right.
But yeah, yeah, no, definitely. You were definitely on a roll today with the
Thank you.
chat. The chat's
What
responding
I
to
like is that
you. Yeah.
my book, um, I'll show you. The MGM Perspective, a guideline into the mixed world, available on Amazon. Philip Timothy Arnell, also along with two other mixed related books, fortunate member of a Caribbean diaspora and still Bajan after all these years, touch on these topics. Now, with the MGM Perspective, I have an updated version that is coming out soon. I have put so many different scenarios and questions that address these things in society that are a taboo. I try to be objective. I try to be fair. I try not to single out anyone, but I bring out certain questions and then I give the answers to them based on my own experiences or people who have had these same experiences with these same questions or different scenarios. Again, I like what you said before that you don't want to police people. Again, be with whomever you want, or go after character first. But if you're trying to show a certain persona and side of who you are, what you're trying to project out to the world, why would you then discredit yourself? Again, it's your choice to be with who you want. But if you're trying to make it a point in life, why would you make a decision like that? That's something that I don't understand. I'm sure there will be some people who will watch today and they'll say, oh, they'll have their complaints or whatever. Not here to offend anybody. Just re-listen to what we are speaking about, and then dig inside yourself with people that you know, maybe even yourself, and you'll say, "Wait a minute, let me look at it from this perspective." You don't have to agree with what I have to say. Just respect it, and that's it. As I will respect yours.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I pinned your the link to your book. It's in the chat, so the audience, you
Oh,
guys
thank
can
you.
go check it out. And yeah, we definitely talked about that last time we were up here and referenced it. So you did make some updates, and I'm looking forward to more of your work as well. And you said
Thank you.
you have a conversation, I believe, or like a meeting with a important
Yes,
dignitary.
some dignitaries over in Aruba, and that's coming up in February, and it's also present this book. And I will be sending you that link because we usually film it, and you can even post it for me if you like. I'll be posting it on my YouTube page. And what I like about this particular book is the attention that it has received, and how they told me this represents Caribbean culture. It's multiraciality, it's multiculturalism, how you can have people from so many different parts of the globe gather in one large but very small place at the same time. And when I heard those words, I'm like, wow, I guess I've really touched on something here where it's caught positive attention. Again, I wrote this book very carefully, not to offend anyone. I basically stated the facts and the experiences, never to berate or cut down anyone. And twice in the book, I stated that. I hope no one gets offended, but just reread what I wrote and then look at it from a different perspective. That's what I like to do because a book like this will already be misconstrued, and they'll say, oh, this is a taboo and he's talking about it and he's putting down people and he doesn't like this, and all those different comments that you will expect to hear. I'm the type of person, hey, this is a society within society, and a very large one, which is only now getting recognition, and it has been in existence for many years globally. As it
And
just sorry, it just does not have to be about black and white. It could be
yeah,
from whatever's in another country.
yeah, because they're really adamant about what they're doing because they're trying to erase us. And to me, it's like it's an abomination. It's treason, and it's almost like basically war language. Like, because yeah, they're trying to erase our existence and they're trying to humble
Right.
us into servitude. So that's why I'm very aggressive in my delivery. I take big offense to that when we're out here speaking about our experiences, sharing, trying to connect with people. We're coming here
Hmm.
with information and love and understanding. And you have people who come in here and they're very hateful. Like, yeah, they're trying to like control us. So that's why I'm very kind of assertive
You
in
can't
my
erase science. They say, oh, you want to base everything back to science. Yes, because science is what keeps us alive. Plain and simple. Everything about us, everything around us, the air we breathe, the shoes we wear, the foods we eat, all start with the foundation of science. Deal with it. Accept it. They say, what's the point of you doing all this? Well, what's the point of you refuting everything?
right.
It's a simple conversation.
That's a
If
great
it's
point.
brought up, yeah, what is that point of you refuting this?
Why are they trying to refute it? What are they trying to protect and hold on to?
Right.
Exactly.
And you need to go through trying to discredit me, to berate me, because I have my views, but yet your views that are actually insulting to people, you want to be praised for it. And then there will be others that will follow you because of ignorance and straight up stupidity. Well, that's right. This person this and this person that. I don't know what your experiences are or experiences of people that you know that you are letting your own views be influenced by. Unless you've actually viewed something like this, still look outside of the box. I like to use terms like look outside of the box or be placed in a box because that's the most easiest way to describe it.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Most definitely. This has been a very intriguing dialogue, and I really appreciate you hopping up here. I like the engagement in the chat as well. I have the chat involved in the discussion.
I have to
And
read those when we get off because they're like that big right now. And I'm like trying to look at the camera looking like this.
do you still have a few minutes, or do you got to go somewhere?
I have all the time in the world for you.
Definitely. I'm gonna hit the gym pretty soon, but I can stay up here for a few more minutes. What I want to do, I don't
Sure.
know if you're interested in it. I would like to drop the link in the chat because we do have a few people here. If anybody would like to hop up here and maybe
Please do, yes.
what we're saying or add to the conversation, I'd like to get some more people involved. So I'll leave the link in the chat and I'll leave it there for a few more minutes and see where it goes. But yeah, this has been really good, informative live. Like I said, I mentioned this last time we talked. I really appreciate the rebuttals and the clapbacks that you do on social media because we know TikTok is the worst. Someone in the chat
Yes.
said they banned Richard's account. You know, Richard Miles.
Twice they did that.
It's crazy, and he's very positive. Like I said, a lot nicer
Hmm.
than me. Everyone's
It
pretty
is.
much nicer than me, to be honest, because I get irritated quickly with
I
some.
love your directness. You're
Yeah,
straight to the point.
well, like I said from the beginning, man, I just match people's energies. Like people want to troll us or they want to talk shit about mixed men or light skinned men. They want to troll us and
Mhm.
make all these racist remarks or assumptions. And when I match that energy, then they cry foul. And I
Right.
cannot respect that. Like, how are
That's
you
like a
gonna
bully hitting you, and then you hit them. Teacher, he hit me.
I
Who
know.
started it? Me. Then you got what you asked for. But
It's
no, but then
very
that kid who hit him back will get in trouble.
Yeah, it's very childish, and they're not used to this. They're not used to mulattoes or other or light-skinned people or mixed people hitting them back. That's what it is.
Right.
They're used to for the past, we can say since the 60s. So we can say the past 60 years, 50, 60
Mhm.
years, they're used to basically punking mixed people and lighter skinned people into servitude into their community.
It's true.
And now that they're getting clapped back, they're getting pushed back, they don't know how to respond to it yet. They're showing that they're not very diplomatic. Now I'm
Biggest
highlighting that.
shock.
Yeah, they're
Oh, sorry.
shocked. And what I'm saying is I'm highlighting that community. I'm not trying to pick on them. I'm
Right.
saying it because with social media, if you just put any video out there, the main people who are going to talk against you is that specific demographic. I didn't make this up, guys.
That's it.
Like there's white people or Latino people who don't like what I have to say, and I've seen some comments and stuff, but
I've seen them too.
most of them are very quiet or they're minding their own business. They might watch silently and they go along and do something else. But the people who are adamant about putting comments and like trying to challenge me and crap,
Those are
you
the
know,
most insecure people. They are.
exactly. Yeah.
Look, I realize how insecure people are. Me as a darker complected mixie. Okay. Most of the time I'm tan because I'm always out in the sun. See me in the dead of winter. Somebody get the IV. But still, I am a brown skinned gentleman. When I say that I am mixed and they see the complexion and the pictures and so forth like that and they get all riled up, I say, listen, just because you are of a mixed background, it does not mean you're going to come out with light and bright and damn near white skin. You're not. You're going to have different variations of your gene pool. I look just like my father, only thing without the freckles. My father looked like a combination of both of his parents, but both of his parents were extremely fair. And his siblings were all extremely fair with red hair and freckles. Okay, quote unquote, he was the oddball in terms of society. He wasn't oddball, he was one of the kids. And you look at them, they all look alike. But they automatically think, oh, well, that's a result of slavery if they see a light complected person. Really? Slavery ended when? And nobody else mixed after that? Think about it. And it wasn't consensual? Think about it. Also, the people, this may be a broad statement to say, but a good percentage of the American population of European descent descended from those who came here post slavery. You'll have the ones in the South who probably have the highest amount of people who were here during slavery and before. But for the most part, the bulk of the U.S. European people, their families came here post slavery from other countries. And that then goes into the whole thing about reparations, where they say, what do you views on reparations? We can say that for another chat. We don't want anybody getting angry on this particular one, but they will probably get angry on that one because I have my own views on it. And it's not to say take away from somebody, but the fact of the matter is holding people responsible for something that they had nothing to do with, especially if their families were not from this country, that's not right. And then how will this then deem upon people of one, a mixed background, two, if their family was from someplace else, like from South America or the Caribbean, would they be entitled to that? That's another topic for another show. And I hope that you will have me back because that's going to be a hot topic.
Yeah, most definitely. I'd love to have you back again. It seems like people really enjoy these dialogues, and me as well. This is
Me
a
too.
very Yeah, this is very good. Yeah, I guess I've dropped the link has been dropped for a minute. Nobody's hopping up, which is fine. That's okay. I know people can
We'll
be very
answer afterward.
shy and stuff, but
Yeah.
yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to add just in closing?
Um, I'll say the same thing I always say at the end of podcasts. If you're mixed, stay true to yourself. Embrace yourself. Learn and love your diversity. Remember, it doesn't make you better than anybody else. It makes you an individual. And embrace everybody else at the same time too.
Yeah, those are beautiful words. I really like that. Like
Thank
you
you.
said, just embracing yourself. I'm not better than anybody, but I'm proud of who I am. And also, what
Right.
I liked last time we spoke, you said something that I really, really like, and it's very true. And you said, like, it's not hard being mixed. It really isn't. Like,
Right. It's not.
not hard at all. Like, it's people want to act like we have all these mental health issues, we struggle for identity and this and stuff. We do have some challenges, but it's not bad. It's not hard being mixed. It's a beautiful thing. Like, we just need to find each other and build communities. That's the goal, right?
Right. Communities that embrace each other and are open for other people's input at the same time, because that will make us stronger. Basically, be like different parts of the Caribbean who actually do that, where color and race are almost non existent in terms of topic. It's everywhere, but for the most part, it's not really spoken about as much.
Nice, nice, nice. Cool. I really appreciate you hopping on here, and I look forward to chatting with you again. And we'll keep in touch as
Looking
always.
forward to it.
Yeah,
Definitely, definitely. Thank you, listeners. I hope that you enjoyed our show today. It was nice speaking with you, and I hope in other engagements that we have, you'll interact like you did today. Please feel free to go into give comments when the video is posted. I'd love to speak with you and reply, and we'll take it from there. Meanwhile, everybody have a wonderful rest of the weekend, especially you, Mr. Mulatto Vanguard.
appreciate that. Thank you. All right, guys. Peace out. See you guys later.
Take care, y'all.